State legislators hold the second special session of the summer, passing new district maps and rejecting an amendment to ethics legislation. In Chicago's City Council, budget season is underway, and Chicago public school students head back to school. Joining us now with more is the entire Spotlight Politics team. Welcome back, Amanda Vinicky, Heather Cherone, and Paris Schutz. So first up, Amanda, let's start with you, please. You've been covering the second session in Springfield all week, and a mandatory veto on an ethics bill sent back to legislators by the governor did not pass. Tell us what happened there.
Well, so this was supposed to be one of the signature laws of the session, given all of the corruption, calls to do something about it. And this was the legislature and Governor Pritzker's answer, a measure that would do things like require more fulsome economic interest statements, also curtail a little bit when legislators leave the General Assembly and then go on to become lobbyists. But really, the legislature and Pritzker had been under pressure from good government groups to do more, also from the Inspector General, who said that this law that passed showed how not serious the lawmakers were about dealing with ethics. When the governor used his mandatory veto pen to change it, they'd said, hey, do a whole bunch of things, make this stronger. Instead, he just did a very minor tweak. And that is why you had Republicans not vote to accept his change. They said, if you're going to change it, we want you to do more. Otherwise, what is the point of all of this? I think another reason that it didn't go forward was because also it came really late Tuesday night. And by then, perhaps a lot of Democrats who would have given their support had already left and made their way home. So that means that for now, Brandis, this ethics bill is dead. It doesn't mean forever. However, if the legislature does come back, they'll have another chance. And assuming Democrats are around, I'm guessing that they will agree to these changes. Ethics bill become law.
Okay. And Paris, Illinois Democrats passed new district maps, but how did it change from the map that Democrats originally passed?
How did it change from the map Democrats originally passed? Well, Brandis, the original map had some really weird Tetris shapes, and the new map has slightly modified weird Tetris shapes. And the Democratic political consultant, Frank Calabrese, told Amanda yesterday, the original maps that Democrats drew, they're supposed to have equal population in each district, but some of them were off by as much as 30%. And that's because, as Amanda's reported a lot, Democrats used other data to base their maps on. And then the census data came out, and it was pretty different from the data that the Democrats used. And really the big winners in the census were Latinos. Their population grew. And just today, MALDEF, the Latino group, is suing, saying basically you're still underrepresenting Latinos with this new map that you're drawing. So you have Latino groups and some good government groups mad. You also have Republicans mad because, of course, they weren't part of this process at all.
So the passage of these new maps, it came over, as you just said, Paris, it came over GOP and community objections. Here's a look from Republican State Representative Avery Bourne.
This process has been a huge sham to say that now at the end, there's this magic resolution that's going to come and ease all of our concerns. We see the product of this process, and I don't think any resolution can explain away the fact that the advocacy groups have been ignored. They haven't even been told about this process in some instances, like we've heard.
And Heather, what issues do Republicans and other groups have with these maps?
Well, we heard from Paris that Latino groups feel like it doesn't properly represent the gains that they've made with their population in Illinois. The Republicans are upset because this map is designed to protect Democratic incumbents at the expense of Republicans. And let's keep in mind that this only passed because Democrats have supermajorities in the House and the Senate. But really, this is all just sort of a preview of coming attractions. Lawmakers will come back and draw congressional district maps, and that is the big kahuna, so to speak, because that will help determine whether the Democrats can keep control of the United States House, because it is very closely decided. Illinois is going to lose a congressional seat, so the Democrats are going to do everything they can to protect the incumbents that they have and make it harder for Republicans to win where they have now. So we're going to do this all again with a different set of maps with basically the same issues.
Okay, so getting over to city business, Heather, we just heard from you on the mental health co-responder pilot program. Now, Alderperson Rosanna Rodriguez Sanchez has pushed for new approach to calls for help for those who were having mental health crises but without involving the police. And she fought Mayor Lori Lightfoot on this issue. What changed?
Well, it was really interesting because during this hearing, Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez and Alderman Maria Hadden, who were both on the same side of this issue, wanting to get police out of the business of responding to calls for help from people in mental health crisis, seemed surprised. They were like, "Oh, you're doing this. You're moving forward with what we wanted." And both of them said that they had felt cut out of sort of the development of this process and were pleasantly surprised to see it. This was a big issue in the 2021 budget. It was really what made Alderman Hadden and also Alderman Andre Vasquez of the 40th Ward vote for it. However, we're not going to have results, as I said, for at least 6 months, which means that these aldermen will be hard pressed to convince their colleagues to put more money in this co-responder or alternative response models for 2022 because they don't know whether it works yet. So we'll have to see what happens.
Okay, so meanwhile, budget season is underway. A budget committee hearing on Monday discussed COVID's impact on the city's finances. Some want to use some of the federal relief dollars to balance the budget, but others think that money should go to help struggling Chicagoans. Paris, is there a tough fight ahead here?
I'm not convinced there will be, Brandis. I mean, a lot of these calls are coming from the Democratic Socialist aldermen saying, hey, you know, COVID was really difficult. Use this relief money for things like rental assistance and other assistance for Chicago residents. But the thing is, at some point, alder people are going to have to vote on a budget that has a $733 million gap and also has been balanced the last 2 years by a lot of short-term borrowing that some of this federal relief money is going to pay back. And they're saying, well, why don't you pay that back, later when the economy gets going more and more and more, because we're still in the COVID fallout. But the problem is the economy could go the other direction if there are more shutdowns or things like that. So I would assume, and maybe Heather has a different opinion on this, that most alder people probably don't want to leave a budget that much not in balance.
Well, let's go to Heather on this one then. Lightfoot is expected to propose her budget later on this month. It will likely include an increase in funding for the Chicago Police Department, which has over 1,000 vacant positions, as hundreds have already retired this year. Heather, how contentious is this going to be in City Council, at a time when some other folks are calling for less funding for police departments?
Yeah, I find myself in the awkward position of having to disagree with Paris. I think this is going to be a huge fight because it's not only the Democratic Socialists on the City Council who want to see this federal relief fund go directly into the pockets of their constituents. Everybody's up for re-election in 2023. Everybody has suffered during this pandemic, and it's somewhat of a hard case to make to say, well, we're going to pay off some debt instead of helping you keep your restaurant open or help you pay your rent. So it's going to be a big fight, and it's going to be especially contentious over the fate of the police department, which had a $1.7 billion budget last year in 2021. There are still a number of aldermen who want to see that reduced, but there are also a significant number of aldermen who want to see that increased to fill those vacant positions and fight just the soaring number of homicides and violence in Chicago. So it's going to be a big fight.
All right, so let's go to school. Chicago Public School students, they headed back to school on Monday. It comes as the district faces a bus driver shortage and after more than 70 drivers quit in response to the vaccine mandate. Here's a clip from Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
We have talked at length about the fact how critically important it is to make sure that our students are safe in school. As a parent, I wouldn't want somebody who was unvaccinated in a bus with particularly young kids and particularly kids who are most vulnerable not being vaccinated.
So Amanda, what do we know about what's causing this shortage and what is CPS doing to help students get to school?
Well, we know that this is an issue that is not experienced just in Chicago, but statewide. Nationally, there is a shortage of bus drivers, but this was exacerbated because, according to CPS, a bunch of drivers quit with short notice, in part because they were unwilling to get the COVID vaccine. And so that really left CPS in a crunch. That said, parents, particularly those who have students with special education needs, are really bothered that the CPS, even though it apparently had short notice, gave even shorter notice to these parents as they they were forced to, ahead of the new school year, make last-minute adjustments. The district is going forward and giving money to families, essentially a stipend. That said, I think that there are a whole lot of challenges there. I don't know, maybe workplaces will be a bit patient. Of course, we're still in a pandemic and things are quite odd, but not everybody has that luxury. And further, to send your child on a Lyft or an Uber, there are, of course, security concerns there as well. So it certainly is a big issue, again, not just for Chicago.
And just, I covered this this week a little bit, Amanda, to add to that, I'm seeing some parents on Twitter expressing their concern that they're having a lot of problems getting through to the district and figuring out how their students who are special needs and do need those bus rides, how they are expected to be getting to school. But, I'm also hearing, and I think the Chicago Teachers Union as well as SEIU Local 73, who went on strike with the union almost 2 years ago, that they're having a press conference bright and early tomorrow morning. They're getting lots of reports of overcrowding, especially in the high schools. We got some video earlier this week of high school students. Here it is at Taft High School from a source. This is a passing period, and you can see how crowded it is there. And I'm hearing reports that the same is happening at other schools at Taft, at Lane Tech, Lakeview, Peyton, and Phillips. So we're going to hear from the union about that tomorrow, and certainly they'll probably make a decent amount of noise about the layered mitigation strategies that are supposed to be happening at CPS. Getting to some national and international news, earlier this week, U.S. officials declared the end of the war in Afghanistan. Illinois senior Senator Dick Durbin said today that he expects O'Hare to be a destination for many refugees.
There are many who are going through processing now in third countries, Germany, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, and others. And as they go through the initial stages of review, they will ultimately be transported to the United States, where they may need to be separated for some period of time while that review is completed. Camp McCoy in Wisconsin is one of the sites that's been mentioned, and that argues for the possibility that O'Hare ends up being one of the destinations.
In Paris, what are you hearing from refugee groups in the city?
Well, they're expecting around 500 Afghan refugees to wind up in the Chicago area. And they're saying even though the airlift took 120,000 plus people out of Afghanistan, they all have heard from people that are still there that want to get out and that are in danger for their life in some instances, not just Afghans that assisted U.S. forces, but their families. They say that the Taliban is going to hunt down not only the folks that assisted, but their families. So they want to get their families out of there too. And there are a lot of resettlement groups here in Chicago. They are ready to go. There are a lot of resources, groups like Catholic Charities, Refugee One. This is what they do. And so there, and as Mayor Lightfoot said, this is a welcoming city. So it seems like the overwhelming sentiment in Chicago is, bring refugees here. This is a city built by immigrants and refugees, and Afghan refugees would fit in perfectly in Chicago, especially around Rogers Park.
And Amanda, how significant an impact will the political fallout from all of this have on the Biden administration and his legacy going forward?
Well, war, of course, is chaotic. So I think it's difficult to imagine a scenario in which ending a long-running war would be anything but that. Nonetheless, this is deemed, I think, largely as particularly bungled and has many questioning Biden's leadership. Not everybody, of course. There are certainly those who say, again, that no matter what, this is going to be difficult. And Biden did what he could with a deal that he was helped, by the way, with an end date negotiated by his predecessor, of course, President Donald Trump. So yes, I think nonetheless, this is going to leave scars. And by the way, Republicans are going to do everything they can to continue to put the blame on Biden for this. There are even those, including members of Illinois' congressional delegation, that are saying that Biden should be impeached over this. So I think it hurts him, and it hurts him, by the way, also with some of the United States international allies. But going forward, I think we're going to have to watch and see what other fallout there is in the Middle East with our allies to see how big and how long-lasting a stain this is for the Biden administration, which really is still in the early stages of his term.
And
go ahead, Paris.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, there's more than a year until the midterms, and the age we live in, attentions are so short and attention spans don't last very long that The data seems to suggest that people make their decision more on domestic issues than on international issues. So, you know, Republicans certainly do want to keep this as an issue. And if they do retake the House, I think in 2022, you might still see Benghazi-type commissions. Or this might disappear from the public consciousness.
Okay, so before, let's go out on a ROM. We've got about 30 seconds left. Heather, other national news. New York State Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called the nomination of former Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, his nomination for ambassador to Japan, shameful. What's her reasoning?
Well, she accused former Mayor Rahm Emanuel of covering up the police murder of Laquan McDonald in 2014. Of course, Rahm Emanuel denies that he was part of any cover-up, but she is clearly throwing down a marker that Rahm Emanuel is no longer acceptable to the Democratic Party, and she is really the spokesperson for its progressive wing. So his Senate confirmation hearings should be fun to watch, if nothing else.
We'll all be there. From here, watching, obviously. All right, that's Spotlight. Amanda Vinicky, Heather Cherone, Paris Schutz. Thanks.